Well, until the president transmits this communication officially to Parliament, to the legislature, that's when we know that this is official. This is at a dinner. So, I mean, I'm not sure that matters of state are being conducted at the dinner table. But, well, if it's been raised, this is part of what we call lobbying. When the executive is sitting on the same table with lawmakers and telling them their ideas, yes, it is known to processes of governance when you have to discuss in an unofficial roundtable and bring governance matter to bear. At least he is informing them of his agenda, of how he wants to, what he wants in terms of securing the country. But tonight we examine the implication of what the president wants. Well, not all medication will cure all diseases. Is this kind of medication the right one for the disease and the insecurity in Nigeria? Now, you see, the new IG is now towing that lane, and the one who is not surprised that one day the president wants it, the second day the IG says, let's kick it out. But does our law support it? What are the framework, the legal framework, the operational framework, the realities of our time? Does it support it? The Nigerian system, does it support it? Let's speak with a man who lived on, spent all his years and life serving in the Nigerian police and retired at the very highest level. AIG Wilson Inalegwu is live for us here in the studio. Thank you so much, AIG, for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You saw the very first task. Yeah. It does look like president says, I want it, and the IG has already taken action on it. What do you make of that?
Well, when the president leans on any side, it's a presidential order. The IG has no choice but to toe the line. But state police in itself is not a bad thing. But I'm happy the president made a remark. He said, in the past, the present shaped the future. And the question is, have we learned from the lessons of the past? And in an election year, can state police take off at such a critical moment in our national life? I have, like I said, state police. The government has toyed with the idea of state police or localizing the police to the subnational in various ways. But the challenges are daunting. No doubt the security challenges are daunting. And the question that I may ask is the insecurity in Nigeria largely due to the absence of state police? I think there are many other factors. The issues of corruption, the issue of weak governance, the issue of politicization of the police. There are so many factors. And if you go behind from 1957, when the issue of regional policing was discussed, the minorities raised observation. And that's one of the factors that the Willings Commission in 1957 tried to deal with. But I'm telling you that between that time and 66, the issue of regional policing was left hanging because of its sensitive nature. But the regions went ahead to implement it. And there were lots of problems. And that led to the government then, I think 1966, the General Aguirre as the Supreme Commander, as was then called, set up the Gobi Panel of Inquiry. And then the General Yakubu Gowon, in 1968, March precisely, studied the report and brought all the police forces across the country under the Nigerian Police Force. But the big question is state police responsible for the challenges of insecurity that we have today? Of course, Nigeria, we have implemented community policing, which is hardly understood by people. We have the former government, the government of General Buhari, brought about the special constabulary, and the Police Act of 2020 addressed that. But the question is, these steps have not been tried. You have AIGs deployed to the zones. Have they been given that power to operate in their zones as they should? Of course, no doubt there is concentration of power in the center. But the experiences of the past that our big political leaders, like the sage, Chief Awolowo, Sardauna, Tafawa Balewa, Zig, that in handling the issue of regional policing was difficult and there was problem. And then we come about one police force. And this is one police force that is understaffed. During the Shagari government, the then Shagari made effort to fund the Nigeria Police Force, to equip Nigeria Police Force. But the military coup of 1983 took that all back. And so what do we have? Even the equipment purchased for the police by the Shagari government were withdrawn. And so the police has been going down and going down. And now the problem is, because the police is understaffed, underfunded, under-equipped, and so ordinarily the job that should be that of the Nigeria Police Force is now warehoused in the military. And that, so the military...
Not only in the military, there are several agencies
that have been created, that have created problems for coordination. Yes.
NCDC.
Yes.
Because if you see, you find ICPC, EFCC in the Nigerian Police Force. Yes. NCDC, NDLA, you find them in the Nigerian Police Force. So there are duplication of duties. And so
one of the critical challenges of security management is coordination, collaboration. When you have because the Constitution is very clear, 214, that shall be established a police for Nigeria.
A federal police.
And there should be no other police force in any part of the federation.
So I'm coming there just for a moment, sir. Because it is good to understand the legal implication of what the president wants, the operational implication of what the IG has started, and also the people implication, because it then has an implication on the average person. Now, state policing in the barest and in the most layman understanding is a kind of policing system where individual states, subnationals, will have their own form of police, and their duties will be diverted to them, different from what the duties of the federal police system. And we have several countries of the world that are operating. Australia, Canada, India, Germany, the United States. These are countries that operate state police. So at the federal level, you find the federal police and each of the states are the subnationals in these countries, and they have their own names that are being called. Although there are those who will tell you that we have some kind of state policing in Nigeria. The Amotekun is a form of police. If you go to Lagos, you have the neighborhood watch. They are doing policing work in some sense. But you mentioned something that is very strategic, sir. The issue of policing in Nigeria is embedded, is enshrined in the Constitution, Section 214. And let me read it for Nigerians. Subsection 1 says, quote, there shall be a police force for Nigeria, which shall be known as the Nigeria Police Force, and subject to the provision of this section, no other police force shall be established for the Federation on any part thereof. It means he gave it a proviso that says you cannot accept you amend these. Is the president jumping the gun? Is the IG doing something that is unconstitutional? Because if you don't change Section 2141, no one can establish anything as state policing is not known to our Constitution.
You know, like I said, the IG is trying to, lay the legal framework, the framework for state police. And it's not that state police has not been established. I think that shouldn't have been something that I think should be given that level. Let can work so that immediately the bill is passed and it becomes a constitutional matter, that will come up. But the IG cannot do otherwise. But the point that I always try to stress is this. The challenges today are much more than we had from 1964 to 1966, because we have today that the High Court of the states, the Federal High Court will give their own judgment, the State High Court will give their own judgment. That is not all. You hardly can find any local government election that is conducted that an opposition party can win. So what the point is this: I think we can graduate to state police. It's not bad. And I want to say something. If you go, I think the Police Act 2020, which made provision for supernumerary, that has never been utilized. And I think in that 2020, the former government, I think, voted 13.5 billion or so for the implementation of the constabulary. And that was, they were supposed to be recruited from
within and
the
among
community,
the community. So,
and then for intelligence gathering, and for
this is community policing model,
so
which is different from state policing concept.
Yeah, but the implementation of that would have become like a roadmap for the state police.
A gradual phasing
yes.
in employment of state policing model.
Yes. So because the situation that we have, we talk about national cohesion. I mean, our unity in diversity. And the critical state that we find ourselves, yes, we are going to have state police, but I don't think we should, I think we should give it careful thought. Because you would say the Nigerian police is not performing, but I believe that the Nigerian police force is one of the best in Africa. A police force that can make arrests with little or no technology support, a police force that can prevent crime. I am telling you. So, if you create state police, how many police divisions with personnel strength of 200 personnel, for example, have 5 serviceable vehicles? So,
there are no lights in their police stations.
So
they carry weapons without bullets.
Yeah. So is that going to
no protection for them?
Yeah. So I think the issue that we should address, and I think it's good to study the operation of the supernumerary. You look at it, and then you graduate. A gradual process. I mean,
but with the understanding of law, sir,
yes,
I imagine that the first thing to be done is to make this a constitutional matter. First and foremost, cross that hurdle. Convince the National Assembly, convince the nation that state policing is important, and fix Section 214. Anything that is not done or done outside of Section 214 is unconstitutional. Because as the law provides, there's only one police known to law in Nigeria. Any other kind of police is unconstitutional.
But we know that there are other police forces in Nigeria.
In disguise.
In disguise.
So when you say state police...
So there are like, if you talk of the road traffic services, the VIO.
Yeah.
They carry out...
We have many... FRSC is a form of police. VIO is a form of police. EFCC is a form of police. ICPC is a form of police. NSCDC is a form of police. And even the military are doing a form of police work.
And it is good that people look at the Willings Commission report on the way, that question of state police, because it's sensitive. And this is an election year. Are you going to be able to implement it and deploy them on election day?
The president also said that he understands the issue of of corruption, and high-handedness, possibility of high-handedness of the governors, which is one of the major problems. If you look at local government elections conducted by the state CX, you will see that one political party wins everything.
Now, let me tell you.
So when you hand over a police to the state governor, what can he or she do with it? That's it. Isn't that a major issue?
Yeah. And now you have the state police. This current federal police should give birth. When you have a child, a woman that is of very poor health, giving birth, you cannot have a very healthy child. So in my in my opinion, and I say with all sense of responsibility, I am not challenging any authority. I think we need to have a look at it. Is state police going to be able to deal with the issue of underfunding? Is state police going to be able to deal with the issue of political interference? Is state police going to deal with the issue of governance? Is it going to deal with the issue of inclusivity? I think state police, as critical as it may be, let us carry out an audit of the present police force. Why is the police not able to deliver? And I think the police delivers. There are issues. I think with the right leadership, one of the problems that I see with the present police force, here you have the Zonal Assistant Inspector Generals of Police. What powers do they have? But when you have, when they are talking about police, you are having an over-centralization. One man sits there, the IG. You sit in your command. Somebody is coming to fence your police command. It's a contractor. You don't even know where the contract was given. It comes from force headquarters. So these are issues that the government should look at. Look at the members of the National Assembly. When they visit their constituencies, do they take the time to visit police stations? Because if you do not, you will not appreciate the problem. And then you have many states. Lagos can support very well state police. Rivers can still support state police. FCT. Akwa Ibom. Kano.
Yeah, Kano, yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe Kaduna.
Well, Kaduna can support.
States who have some economic powers.
These are states. And you see, let me give you when you have been a commissioner of police, for example, in the Federal Capital Territory, and you become a commissioner of police in the states, it's very different. There is you have that leverage to operate as a commissioner of police. Yeah. When you go to the states, those little challenges are there. And if you conduct a survey of police officers with long law enforcement experience in Nigeria that have served as commissioners of police, both retired like us and serving, and you do anonymously, I am telling you, you are going to get up to 80 to 90% say, look, no, all right, to state police.
Mr. Wilson Inalegwu is a retired Assistant Inspector General of Police. Thank you so much for the insight tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.